Third time's the charm, right? Hello, my name is Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. So I was reading an article over on Bounding in the Comics, which was sourced in a somewhat more detailed article from Variety magazine. That's those that are on the screen right now. That's this one from Bounding in the Comics, and this one from Variety. Now I've linked to them down below, so you can read through them the fullness of their content. I urge you to do that because they are decent article. The Variety one has way more information, though. Now, so let's start with identifying who Astro Boy is, so we can discuss this reboot. Astro Boy is one of the oldest manga and anime characters ever. He's a legendary in terms of anime, a legendary character. Okay, in terms of manga as well. In 1951, the character, originally called Adam, was introduced as a supporting character in the Ambassador Adam manga written by Osamu Tezuka. Later in 1951, Tezuka began a manga series where Adam, now known as Astro, was the main character. I have an example of that on screen from the manga back then. As Tezuka improved artistic ability, he eventually changed Astro to look cuter and childlike to appeal to elementary school boys. Kind of a shonen type of manga, basically. That's a very scene from the original. That manga series has sold over 100 million copies to date. Now let's hide that away. In 1963, the first anime series for Astro Boy was released. Here's a clip so you can see what it looked like. Yep. I'm not going to play any sound just because I don't want to get dinged or whatever, but now this is the Astro Boy's origin in most of the things that professor's son Tobio died, and he was so sad he made Astro Boy, a robot boy, sort of to be his surrogate son. The story varies between the manga and the various anime editions. Okay, we'll fast forward it, but you can see Astro Boy himself. So here's the professor making Astro Boy. And you can see that there's a Frankenstein element to the story. There's some say there are Pinocchio elements to this story, but fundamentally, Astro Boy is not Pinocchio. Let's put a bit. I'm going to skip past just to give you more of the animation style. Let's get to a little of Astro Boy being heroic, and. He was in a circus. It's a long, convoluted story. So this is Astro rescuing someone from the fire. So that's what the original '63 series looked like, and it ran for several years and produced around 200 episodes. Most importantly, that was the first anime to air in the U.S., so it pretty much influenced U.S. anime watchers for decades. Remembering, the black and white Astro Boy series. Now, in 1980, they did another anime adaptation. This was only one season of 52 episodes. This was basically a color. This is taking many of the scripts and stories from the original anime, and then redoing them in color with a slightly different visual style, which still looked like that. It still looked like that, so to speak. I'll show you an example of that. I can find where I put it. Okay, so, and obviously you can see the color. This is a high def version. If you can find this one, they remastered it in 1080p, and it looks pretty good. And you can still see it still has the same look of Astro Boy, but just a slightly more modern animation aesthetic for the background. More details is what I'm pointing out. So we'll stop that. We don't want to get dinged. Now, 2003, there was a third anime adaptation on which was the 40th anniversary, 40th of 60th, 70th, of the 50th anniversary of Astro Boy. They did a 50 episode series. So this is what that one looked like. And again, you can see it has a similar sort of visual styling to the original Astro Boy. You can see elements that are there. You can see Astro Boy looks like Astro Boy, but you also see there's much more detail. And you'll notice as anime evolves over time, that what you get you get the same structures in general that has the anime look, but there's much more detail in the background, much more color variety, but still remaining true to the original concept, right? So okay, we're good so far. Now, 2009, they did another adaptation, and this was much more loosely based on the Astro Boy storyline. David Bowers did it. His claim to fame is he was one of the many animated on several well-known animated projects like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Fern Gully. It was a computer animated film done by Imagi Animation. Get rid of that. And we'll go into that one. Yep. Nope. It's this one. Astro Boy. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So I'm going to show you a preview from it, so to speak, and let's run it so you can watch it while I'm talking. So this was done entirely with the intent of targeting the English language audience. They had a star-studded cast: Samuel L. Jackson, Donald Sutherland, Sarah Elise Theron, plus some newcomers for the younger characters. It flopped, and it was kind of meh. I mean, if you look at it, you can see kind of the styling is a bit off to me. I mean, it looks like someone who couldn't create the Astro Boy look was trying to create the Astro Boy look. But they were probably trying to make it differentiated. Like sometimes, like in that scene, he looks a little like Astro Boy, but then when he walks around and stuff, he doesn't kind of move like Astro Boy. I don't know. It just seems a little off, but it could have been better in terms of the storyline. Is what the important part there, and that would have been been what we wanted. So and Astro was also guest starred in many of the manga over the years. His name was as a sort of homage. Okay, now we have this newest attempt at an adaptation. So I'm not gonna belabor this, article in this video I'm doing. So I want to quote the relevant details that I want to talk about from the article, and you could read the articles themselves later. So first, the guy doing the show, the showrunner, his name is Thomas Astruc. He's known as the creator of Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. The new adaptation will not be live action. It will be CGI. It will be 3D. The adaptation will tackle modern issues like social media and environmental damage. There are no American concerns involved in the production of this new series. It's being done jointly by Shibuya Productions, which is based out of Monaco, and Method Animation, which is based out of France. So I'll address the easiest parts of those first. Okay? I don't like that this is both CGI and 3D. Honestly, I tend to dislike most 3D animated shows or movies, but not because they're 3D. It's just I just think it's too rough a format right now to really catch my visual interest. Even though I know a lot of people like some of the amazing stuff that comes out. It just seems, I don't know, like I've seen better video games in 3D than I see in most 3D movies, even from how it's animated. If it looked like Doom 2016, the game, as opposed to what we get, I would probably be happier. Now the CGI, so that's the 3D aspect. The CGI part is more complicated. The 2009 film was CGI and Pixar rendered it, but it was not done in Pixar style per se. I'm not a big fan of Pixar's animation style. It just doesn't visually appeal to me. Something about it seemed too far removed from prior Astro Boy series, as I just mentioned. They also changed the mood quite a bit. They made Astro Boy act more like Pinocchio, whereas in his reality, Astro acts more like Naruto. He never gives up. He always tries to do the right thing. He wants to grow. In a sense, he doesn't want to grow up. He wants to grow up to be liked, respected, and all that. So you might say he's a prototype for Naruto in some ways, in some aspects. And honestly, if they did this Pixar style, I probably won't watch it. It just doesn't appeal to me to watch Pixar for more than 5 minutes at a time. Now, again, I mentioned not being live action. That's 100% positive. There are anime you can do live action. Space Battleship Yamato, for example, was probably one of the better ones, even though there were problems with the story. Like, as a movie, it was not well written, but it did capture a lot of the elements of the show, so of the anime. So right, also the Gotcha Man live adaptation again, written badly as a movie, but it captured elements of the show. The first Death Note anime live action from Japan was pretty solid. Just to give you examples of where you could do live action anime adaptations, at least somewhat correctly. But Astro Boy, or say something like Gigantor, where the animation conveys something that just doesn't look like it could be real, I think you would struggle to do them in a live action setting. So let's move on. We'll talk about the two production companies. Now, first up is Shibuya Productions. Now, I have a clip down below for the only movie I can find, Lilly and the Magic Pearl, which is what you see on your screen right now. I'm going to play it so we can see what it kind of looks like animation style. And it looks pretty good. I mean, the facial characters of the human creatures, maybe that's a bit off, but that could just be the stylings, because this isn't meant for the Bulgarian market, and not just me. There might be a lot of Bulgarian animation where humans look like that, but she does look like she could be a real person. So I could see if they changed the way the humans look to be more like they do in Astro Boy. I can see this sort of animation being this style here working a bit for some elements for Astro Boy. Okay, so we can stop that for now. Now we'll go on. So, but Shibuya Production is most famous for the Shenmue 3 game. Now, that game obviously had mixed reviews. There were some people who said it was a worthy sequel, but it didn't. But others said it was just sort of like it didn't bring anything new, which is a good. Sometimes you have a sequel to something that's just more of it, and if it's enjoyable, that's fine. You don't have to surpass the original, the previous entry with a sequel. If it's different on its own, but has equal merit, and you enjoy it as a franchise, I say that's okay. I mean, there have been like 30 Godzilla films, and not every single one of them has surpassed the ones before it. But for the most part, most of them are enjoyable. Same thing with James Bond movies, and so on. Now, so we'll go on, and the game was financially successful, but just not tremendously popular. So let's look at method animation. Now, this company has a lot more work under its belt. I think the only thing that they've ever done that I've consciously looked for is the Iron Man Armored Adventures, which is a 3D CGI Iron Man series. I remember not liking it, but it's not because of the animation per se. Just for some reason the storylines weren't getting me. However, their largest success, and this is what Thomas Astruc is the director and creator of, is something called Miraculous: Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. Now we'll take a clip. The link, what I linked below, is a 1-hour group of summary clips. You can go through that whole thing if you want. It looks interesting enough that I'm probably going to hunt down episodes of this to check it out. But it's won a lot of awards. So let's just take a look at some scenes here. Yeah. Now the animation style, if they just did this with a little bit of tweaking for the Astro Boy unique characteristics, I could see this working. I could see this working for an Astro Boy adaptation. The way the characters move doesn't seem like they're rotating on bubbles, which is one of the Pixar things. It looks like every time a Pixar character like moves their head, arm, or whatever, it looks like a bubbles are circulating on joints. It doesn't look like organic movement, And there's small details here, like when someone shrugs, they shrug totally. It's not just a head movement or a single shoulder movement, So now we'll skip forward a bit to get one more scene of maybe the more. Trying to get them when they're not in costume. Those are some special effects, so to speak. Okay, so this is when not in costume as regular people, and again, I could see with a little bit of adaptation for the Astro Boy elements, I could see this sort of animation style working for it. So these two companies, from their work history, and most importantly, not being based in the U.S., meaning they're not going to be woke, most likely not to be woke, and plus, both companies have tried to make inroads into Japan to produce original market anime, and the Japanese do not tolerate wokeism, and they do not tolerate you bastardizing the characters in your product for some political causes or to preach at you. Stuff like that don't fly in that market. Okay, so the fact that this companies are positive to me in a sense, this could be hopeful. So now we'll mention Thomas Astruc. As I said, he's done Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, which is he's won both he and that show have won awards. But this guy has a 20-year history of stuff, which I'll link you his resume below. He started early on, even though he did some animation, like he was one of the animators for some of the scenes in that movie Wasabi with John Reno, which was pretty good. So again, this guy gives me a little hope. He's not connected to wokeism and all that, and he wants to work in the foreign animation market, so he's not corrupted by American issues. Again, hope there. Now, finally, though, we have the most ominous threat for this new Astro Boy series that was mentioned, where it's going to deal with environmental damage and social media issues. I understand you kind of have to put that stuff in there, as opposed to giant space monsters attacking all the time. I get that, but if this was done by an American company, I'd be extremely worried. It might not, and be really down on it and just going into it low expectations. But as I mentioned, it's being done by conservative companies that are in France and Monaco, and they work hard to get recognition in the Japanese market. I can't see them being allowed to destroy Astro Boy on the altar of wokeism. The Japanese licensor will not let them do it. So the final thoughts, and I will follow this production and get back to you with it more when I hear more about it, and hopefully in a few more months. Something like this has been building up for a couple of years. So if this announcement here suggests to me that this may be close to coming out, maybe sometime next year, I hope. Now, my video title represents my greatest fear, and I'm initially inclined to think that they're going to wreck Astro Boy the same way adaptations and remakes that have been wrecking other franchises and characters for the past 7 years or so. But going over the evidence that I found so far, I have some hope. So instead of I'm no longer expecting a total train wreck of an adaptation. I'm now 50-50 on this. I'm hopeful that this could be good, but I'm also have low expectations because of the modern environment. So 50-50 on this. So we'll see, and we'll keep an eye on this. But this could be a good modern adaptation. We'll see. Comment down below if you have any questions for me about this video or this topic. Please share your thoughts. Share this video if you enjoyed it. Like if you like. Dislike if you dislike. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. My name is Matt. This has been on Rebel 73. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.